What's up, everybody? It is Mr. Hardy. Welcome back to me. You guys have been there. We had Cody there last week for the Safer Choices curriculum. I hope that went awesome. She does a really good job. But now we are back. This is my last week that I am going to be gone. I will be back next week. It's Monday today, so you only have 5 more days without me there. This week we are starting our alcohol unit. All right, this is a really important unit. One that I think that it's important in the sense that, this is probably the most commonly used drug. And yes, alcohol is a drug. All right. This is the most commonly used drug by kids your age. And it's going to be a pretty big factor in your life here in the next couple of years, especially those of you who are, even if you don't go to college. But it seems like we see lots of more alcohol use when kids go to college or get out of high school. I'm not saying that there's not alcohol use in high school, but that it becomes a bigger issue as kids get going here. And again, I think it's important that you know what alcohol does to your body, what blood alcohol concentration is, all of those really important things so that you guys can make decisions for yourself. That's the most important thing, is that you guys are making these decisions. And you're hopefully going to make good ones. Sometimes you're going to make bad ones. That's okay. People make mistakes, but again, we want to give you the facts so that you guys can make the decisions on your own. If it was up to me, none of you would drink until you're 25, because as we're going to find out here in a little bit, your brain is not fully developed until you are the age of 25. And I want you guys to have fully developed brains, right? So we're going to go through a little bit of the PowerPoint today, talk about an assignment that we're going to do here. Chapter 12.1 is about the health effects of alcohol, right? So how does consuming alcohol affect a person's physical, mental, emotional, and social health? So how are we going to go through all four of those, all right? Let me get this back up here. All right. So after this lesson, you should be able to explain the characteristics of alcohol, describe the concept of blood alcohol concentration, identify different patterns of alcohol consumption, talking about binge drinking, assess how alcohol affects your brain and leads to things like addiction. Yes, you can be addicted to alcohol. Describe hangover, alcohol poisoning, chronic health conditions associated with alcohol use, analyze the mental, social, and legal consequences of drinking alcohol. So, like I said, alcohol is a drug. It is a very addictive drug that alters your brain function. In terms of classification, alcohol is actually a depressant. All right. Some people think that things like alcohol and marijuana are what we would say are stimulants, but they actually slow down your brain functioning. We hear the word depressant and we think like sad. And while alcohol can make some people feel sad, it is a depressant. All right. It enters your bloodstream and it affects every cell in your body, and it depresses their functioning, which means that it slows it down. All right. You get into that. That's why we, when we talk about why it's illegal to drink and drive, right? Because your motor skills, your functioning, the communication between your brain and your limbs to drive a vehicle is slowed down, right? Your reaction time is slower. That's why, why you're not allowed to drink and drive, right? So, did you know that one standard drink of alcohol? A drink is determined by the amount of alcohol, not by the amount of liquid. All right. So a drink is a drink for the most part. Alcohol by volume describes the percentage of a drink's volume that is alcohol. Did I have the picture in here? I don't think so. I think we got to go back here. Hold on. But basically, oh yeah, here we go. We can go to this page. A beer, a glass of wine, a mixed drink, a martini, a shot, right? They all have typically about the same amount of alcohol. All right. So, while the most liquid is probably in the beer, it does have about the same amount of alcohol as a shot glass of hard alcohol, and that is because of the alcohol by volume. Blood alcohol concentration is the percentage of alcohol in a person's blood. So you are considered to be legally impaired if you have a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08% or higher. Under the age of 21, you are considered to be legally impaired if that is 0.01. All right. Some people say like, oh, I just, I was brushing my teeth, or I had mouthwash. Like, that's not enough to qualify. And there are a bunch of different factors that can influence your blood alcohol concentration. Number one being body weight. All right. The bigger you are, typically the more alcohol you can drink, right? Because you are spreading out the effects through that body. All right. Biological sex. Females are more easily influenced by alcohol than males. Just because of the way that they're wired. So that typically, like if a 180-pound male drank a glass of beer and a 180-pound female drank a glass of beer, same body size, say they're both the same height, likely, or what would happen is that the blood alcohol concentration of the female would be a little bit higher than the males. Food consumption. Eating food beforehand can slow down the absorption process of alcohol and cause your blood alcohol concentration to not be as high. So eating food before drinking alcohol is typically a smart thing. And some different ethnicities can handle alcohol better. We're going to watch a video later on that talks about the legal drinking age and how much different places drink. And some areas of the world their bodies can process alcohol more than others. Underage drinking is consuming any alcohol under the age of 21. It has serious physical, mental, social, and legal consequences. Moderate drinking, though, that's consuming no more than one drink on the same occasion for females and no more than 2 drinks on the same occasion for males. All right, so moderate drinking would be like having a beer after dinner, or when you go to a friend's house, something like that. It usually involves occasionally consuming alcohol, not consuming it every day. All right. Binge drinking. This is the one that we are most worried about with kids your age, all right? This is consuming 4 or more drinks on the same occasion for females and 5 or more drinks on the same occasions for males in a short period of time. This is when we can get like blood alcohol poisoning, all right? This is where you can literally die, all right? Because you ingest so much alcohol that your liver cannot process it quick enough, all right? And what happens then is that because your liver can't concentrate or can't do it quick enough, it gets into your bloodstream, that raises the blood alcohol concentration there, and it can cause some serious issues. Really, when we talk about like the central nervous system, what happens when people die of alcohol poisoning is that they drink so much that their liver can't process it. Your liver can only process alcohol at a certain rate it doesn't matter how, like it can take 24 hours, 48 hours, but it can only process so much at a time. And when you have more than it can process, that starts to slow down things in your central nervous system. So essentially, people who die of alcohol poisoning, they either quit breathing, all right? They've slowed down their central nervous system so much because of the depressant that is alcohol that they don't breathe anymore. Their central nervous system shuts down and they quit breathing. Or your body tries to make you puke it up, all right? And what happens is that's why people puke from drinking alcohol, is because your body's saying, nope, I have way too much of this. My liver can't process it. Let's get it out. All right. And what happens then sometimes is that people aspirate. So you have too much in your body, and you puke it up, but because you're so slowed down because of your motor functioning, people puke and they're like on their backs. It gets stuck in their throat. They can't get it out, and then they don't breathe and they die. And that is a common thing that happens. Heavy drinking, consuming 8 or more drinks in 1 week for females and 15 or more drinks in 1 week for males. And that's what the type of drinking that can lead to physical dependence. Sometimes that's 15 or more or 8 or more in one night. That's crazy, right? Can easily lead to psychological and physical dependence. You can become physically dependent on alcohol. We talk about how amazing our bodies are. If you consume alcohol at a heavy rate for a long period of time, your body can become dependent on it. And it can actually use that. It needs that alcohol to function, which is crazy to think about, right? And that's why oftentimes, like if people who are very heavy drinkers, they try to quit drinking, they can end up dying because their body doesn't have that alcohol that it needs to survive. So when people go to rehab, sometimes they don't. Oftentimes they say, like, we're not going to let you do cold turkey. They will let you slowly wean off the alcohol. Some of the immediate effects on the brain, right? Cerebral cortex. So your cerebral cortex is the front outside layer of your brain. The difficulty processing information, thinking clearly, difficulty accurately observing your surroundings. Reduced inhibition. So inhibition is like your decision-making process. So if that's reduced, you're more likely to, for lack of a better term, do stupid stuff, right? Again, poor decision making, and then aggression. It can cause aggression in people. In your hippocampus, that's where it affects your memory loss, difficulty forming memories. That's that blackout. Declining cognitive function. Alcohol can make you stupid, and because your brain isn't fully developed until about the age of 25. What we find is that like heavy alcohol use between the ages of like 15 and 25 can cause serious mental issues in terms of your mental acuity, your cognitive functioning later on in life, or at that point right there. Your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland can cause increased sexual arousal and poor sexual decision making. Your medulla, that's what causes your that affects alcohol affects your medulla, which causes sleepiness, slow breathing, lower body temperature. And your cerebellum, that's like your motor functioning, difficulty walking steadily, lack of coordination of body movements, your longer reaction times, and slurred speech. Okay, we're going to stop there because stop sharing that. Share a new screen. Talk about your assignment for today. All right. So let me bring that up. You are going to do 2 assignments today. Number 1, alcohol in the brain. All right. So we just talked about this. What is, part of the brain, your cerebral cortex, your cerebellum, your hippocampus. Look, we just talked about what does this part of the brain do? What are the immediate effects of alcohol on this part of the brain? Boom. Long-term damage. 3 neurological conditions people might experience if they drink heavily or binge drink on a regular basis. Answer that. How can alcohol use among teens permanently affect the way the white matter of your brain and your prefrontal cortex? All right. So you're going to answer those questions. If you need to use your book, you can. And then I want you to do some thinking about the consequences of drinking alcohol for teens. All right. Effects of underage drinking. So there's a couple of scenarios, and you're going to explain the impact on their health, their education, their social life, and their future. So Sam's sister is annoyed with her because of her drinking. Has gotten in the way of their old movie night traditions. Samantha has been missing more and more movie nights since she started hanging out with a new group of friends and began drinking. So how does that affect her physical health? Could it affect her education? Does it affect her social life? She's got a new social life, but now she's alienating her sister. All right. And then your future. There's about 5 different ones here. It says in small groups. You can work together. That's fine. But you don't need to create a campaign to present the consequences or with flyers, emails, things like that. You don't need to do that part. All you need to do is answer those scenarios. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about levels of intoxication. All right. So that is what we've got for today. We will see you guys soon. Have a great day.